anybody, did you help me? If they weren't coming? You hadn't heard from anybody saying they weren't coming?
No, nobody
Have a
else.
good landing.
Order. Have any business that we can talk about, other than what you were calling me about, Mr. Sheriff?
Mm-hmm, that's it. Yes, you wanna do that first, or you wanna do?
Yeah, we'll wait on you.
Okay.
Okay.
Whatever you, however you want to go with this.
I say go ahead and get it over
I'm Grace in here, so.
Hopefully Grace will show up.
You wanna do development first?
No, we can go ahead and do development, give her
We'll do that
time.
while we wait on
if
her.
she's on the way.
Hope she's
with.
coming.
Maybe the train's got her.
February. Camden Park, they're still building on phase 3, and y'all should get a final plat next month for phase 4. Yeah, as long as they bring their check and stuff. Emma Ridge, no changes really. They're still building in sector 4. Shallow Creek, really not a whole lot of changes there. Coslin, really about the same. They're still building in phase 2. Timberline, I went out there last week, and they're getting close to paving out there. The rest of it, they've got some of the paved already, but they're getting close to paving the rest of it.
That's all the way through.
All the way through. Waterford is kind of at a standstill right now. Same thing with Dunsmore. Commercial airport convenience store is getting close. I was there Friday, me and Jason were there Friday. He wanted some clarification on landscaping and stuff, so. The inside is, in my opinion, they got a little ways to go on the Crystal side. The convenience store side looks like all they need to do is put shelves up and stuff. I mean, they're pretty close. They were working on their pumps and all that stuff when I was out there, so they're close, Domino's is finished. They're just waiting on a couple things to open. Fast-paced medical has started in front of Publix. Some of y'all probably seen that. I don't know if they paid or if they poured footage or not. I'm not sure.
I think they did, because I think they called us out.
They did pour
Yeah.
slab? That's been a couple days since I've been over there. Comfort Inn has civil plans submitted, and they're under review. Seth Gardens has submitted civil plans under review, and we will talk about that tonight. Have a question on that. Mavis Tire has submitted their civil plans, and they're under review.
And Reggie has their building plans too.
Yeah, and Reggie does have their building plans, yes. Homes of Sweet has submitted their building plans, but we still haven't gotten anything on their civil plans yet. So. Kings Crossing is a new one. It's on 31, kind of not across 31 from Marvin's, but on that little road. Can't remember that, 2 road.
That little pie-shaped piece that's in there has been up for sale forever, that's where they're.
It'll be a little shopping center, little strip mall kind of thing.
Where's that home sweet?
Homes of Sweet will go right beside him. They've been doing a little bit.
Moving dirt.
Yeah, moving some dirt. They didn't really have a whole lot to do anyway. And that's it.
Actually had a guy in a meeting the other day say we needed more hotels in Calera because when he travels here for softball tournaments,
Yep, that's what they're all counting on. I had a question about their parking. The new regulations that we passed in February require the parking to be in the back or the side. The old regulations didn't really specify front, side, back, it just had a setback on it.
To off the front building line.
Off
Had to
the
be so
front
far
building
off the
line?
front building line, yeah.
Y'all have the paper, I'm trying to pull it up on the computer. For some reason it's not opening up. I'm gonna open the plans up too, let you see them.
You know, the current addresses it in two separate spaces. It addresses it on that first page on the 5.8.2 on the F on the minimum space. It takes you to the 5.17, which is on the next page, which says the parking areas are required to be to the side or the rear of the building. Well, then the old is the last page, and it says that they're set back behind the front of the building line and shall be set back no less than 15 feet from any dwelling building.
Yeah, that's highlighted as the new one. I'm sorry, that TV does not work. I talked to James. I thought I could do it. That's our new, and I guess y'all can see.
Were these plans submitted during the old?
Yeah, there were some plans submitted in 22.
Yes, sir.
No permit's been issued yet?
No. We just started the site, review.
Sorry, y'all, my thing is being very slow. Hmm? Yes, and y'all know where Seth Gardens is, right?
I do.
I don't, where's it at?
It's on 12 across from Union Station.
Union Station.
Just right before church on the road.
Okay.
I can bring up the map too. I'm trying to get this stuff to open up. It won't open up.
I remember the dialogue that took place on the new comprehensive plan. I can't remember all the details, but I do remember some conversation about this parking.
About the parking.
Yeah.
Because that's what I asked Chris. I said, when, was there something brought up when we changed it? Cause I didn't remember it. And he's like, I don't remember. He said, I don't even remember that we changed that.
I
But,
thought it was to get, to
Something
be
about,
part more cars off the street.
yeah, position, you know, having the building position to buffer the cars
mhm.
was the whole intent of that.
Yeah, we're just really asking for y'all's opinion on this and what to do.
I can't remember why,
I don't know why it was changed.
I can't
So,
remember.
let me make sure I understand the issue. Is the issue, do we go into the old or the new?
That's our question.
It was changed for some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you go into the new, you ain't bought a permit.
But he started
But there
his
was-
process
Yeah.
before it changed
Right.
and was going by those regulations is our dilemma. And then now that it's changed and now he's got everything ready, everything's gonna have to change if he goes under the new.
And that's a pretty major.
You mean like design and?
Yeah.
Building, placement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Placement of the building and
So
everything.
basically start from.
Yeah, it's not just flipping the building around.
Yeah.
pretty intense.
I vaguely remember hearing about it, but I don't remember the details of what we were trying to accomplish by having the parking behind the building,
Yeah,
other than aesthetics,
yeah,
obviously.
And I don't remember even
yeah, I don't
reading
either.
that in the changes.
Yeah, Kevin just happened to run across it when he was doing their review.
Maybe what day did we adopt the new regulations?
It was
Seven.
the 6th, the 22,
26.
23.
yeah, 6th of 23. The commission did it on 12 of 22. And then the, council heard it on 6 of 23.
6 and 23.
Yeah, 2, 6 of 23.
And when did he submit his first anything?
I've actually got the plan set, the original plan set that we submitted was 7/7/22. And I'm John Perkins with Olympia Construction. We're the developer on the project. If you don't mind, I'll kind of give just a quick synopsis of it. Originally, we're gonna do a family development for apartments and talk to the city, and they wanted us to look at switching to a senior development, which we were able to do. But that in itself switched to a completely different site plan. We had multiple buildings and completely different layout when we started. And then when we switched to the senior development, we compressed everything to one building. It's gonna have an elevator and everything. And that process started, amongst the whole rewriting, I guess, of the zoning requirement for moving the parking to the back and the side. And we just weren't aware that was going on at the time. And, we worked with the architect. I'm actually the civil engineer on the project too. So we worked with the architect, came up with a new layout, and, it's been quite a while that we've been trying to work through this. We've got just got the highway department satisfied with everything, just got our bond for it. And I think, as far as I know, I think we're down to the last few comments. I think this is really the last comment that I'm aware of. I think Mr. Hilliard's already reviewed everything, and Mr. Pappas, I think, was reviewing everything before that. Bill's worked his way through his comments. So I think literally this is the last comment that we had. But it's a big one if we don't get basically grandfathered in under the old zoning requirements. So that's kind of our dilemma. It's gonna it would significantly delay it for us, and we're literally ready to get started on construction if we can. But that's what we're asking for, is if all possible, if we could get, I guess, grandfathered in, I guess would be the right term as far as the review process, because we did start this. It's not a different project. It's been Seth Davis Gardens the whole time. Same owner, same everything about it. But like I said, the process, I've got the plan set right there where we started. These are stamped 7/7/22 was when our initial was turned in. So
But the initial was turned in as apartments.
these are apartments as well. Yeah, it just switched from a family to a senior apartment complex. Is the only difference. But there was always apartments from the start.
That was my question, was whether we could grandfather it or not.
It was original plans, but they were apartments, and then we changed. For the senior, when were those submitted?
You said those were submitted on 22,
Yes, sir.
and that would be senior, ones that you have that were submitted, or the regular apartment?
No, the city requested us to change to a senior development. But there again, it was always the plan for it to be apartments. The same whole structure abides, same number of units and everything hasn't changed.
So the parking was not gonna change whether it was senior or?
It did actually change. Originally, I can show you the original plan set. It had, like I said, multiple buildings. And a drive system that kind of came through the middle of the development. That was the original design. reason for that is for the senior, you know, obviously, you have to put elevators in for multiple stories. So, we're just, we've actually built this same exact project in Georgia. It turned out really well. I'll be glad to show some photos of that if you guys need to see them.
So has the engineering been done for the new ones yet?
Sir, I'm sorry?
Has the engineering been done for the new apartment?
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying. It's, it's all done except for this one comment that came up at the,
And what date was
But those weren't submitted to you just the other day, right?
What's that?
Those were just submitted this year.
Those plans, or these plans?
These plans.
Yes. Like, I saw
They
them.
were submitted after the change.
Yes.
I just don't know whether we can do that or not. That's gonna be
I guess the question is, the biggest question that I see is if it falls under the grandfather, then it's an open and shut, but if it doesn't, it has to go in front of the other board.
Well, and that was my question, cause Chris, like, can you just send them for a variance?
It's not really a variance.
But is it really a variance? Cause a variance is supposed to be a hardship with the property, and it's not a hardship with the property.
And I guess that's where if it's something that falls in our privy, if it's grandfathered in, it's grandfathered in. If it's not, then to seek a variance, it has to go through the variance board.
Yes, and like I said, I don't think it qualifies as a variance,
It's a hardship.
because it's supposed to be a hardship with the land, and it's not, because they could change the parking, it's just gonna cost them more money and more time.
And I think you're talking a grandfather, your grandfather and then the old plans. That would be grandfathering in. If they changed the design of the building and the layout.
My understanding of the old plans is multiple buildings, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
The original plan,
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's totally been changed.
yeah.
What brought about the change? Was it that the recommendation came from the city to go senior instead of department, so we played a part in that?
That's what the lead was. Senior living.
And can you quantify the impact some? So you said significant delay, but what does that mean?
I mean, it'll be a complete redesign of the civil plans. We would obviously leave the driveway where it is because it has to stay there. We've worked through with Shelby County for that, but it'll be a complete redesign of those. And then, I mean, you know, we're talking about several months of the just redesign process, and
Hopefully this lady right here can give us some insight.
Uh-oh,
What we're
uh-oh.
looking at.
Your ears burning?
What's going on?
That Seth Gardens that I emailed you about that we didn't get to talk about
Yeah.
on the change in the parking, where they originally had started the design of the project and they had the parking in front of the building. Well, then in the meantime, our zoning changed that requires the parking to be in the rear or the side.
What's their position on that? Seth Gardner.
Seth Gardner, they want it to stay the way it is, because they'd have to start their whole civil process over again with their drawings and everything.
I mean, really kind of depends on whether their rights are vested under the previous statute, and usually it's a balancing act between the amount of energy, resources, and actions they've taken to comply with the previous statute versus kind of the needs of the city in terms of its health, safety, and welfare responsibilities. So there's no yes or no answer to that, okay? I mean, it's sort of like it would depend. If the city wants to try to enforce its new statute, obviously they might have rights to sue. If the city goes with the previous statute, obviously you're facing a difference between what you now would prefer in terms of the parking space and what you had previously. So, I
It
think
seems like it'd be interesting to know what the impact would be. Like, it's hard to see it. I guess there's a visual. Obviously, the city wants senior living.
I think the impact is better for us as a senior living facility as opposed to a multifamily.
Yeah.
Because we truly don't need
have it.
too many more kids in our schools. I mean, this helps us draw in the needed type housing that's not here.
Right.
So I think as far as impact, it's what we want.
Right, just how do we comply with our own rules
That's.
And that's what we're trying to find out. Is it a possible grandfather deal or is it not? And that's kind
Well,
of,
grandfather clauses are what the city puts into its zoning statutes to allow landowners to still be in compliance with the previous statute. That's something you give to landowners.
right.
Vested rights are something they've earned under the law by virtue of their actions in developing a piece of property and spending resources and time and energy to do that consistent with the statute under which they started.
So if he was acting under good faith of the old plan without the knowledge of the new rule, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if he's moving under the previous zoning, he's complied with all zoning, he's spent tons of resources to effectuate that plan under the zoning that was in effect at that time, he would have an argument that, hey, my rights were vested on that previous statute, you just can't flip that on me at the last moment, basically.
Even though he changed his whole direction in the interim.
Well, what do you mean he changed this whole
So he
thing?
went from a two complex system where he had two units, two separate units, and now he has one combined unit.
I mean, they're all fact-based and fact-specific, like your argument would be.
So it's a true gray area.
Yeah, your argument would be, you haven't really put that many resources in it because you're starting new, you're changing the whole thing. So you're really at the beginning and therefore you need to comply with the new statute. His argument would be, I'm not starting fresh, I've been working at this for months or years, working with the development people, operating under certain assumptions that you've given me by virtue of the zoning ordinance that was in effect at the time. So, you know, hopefully you try to resolve these issues with the property owner and reach kind of an accord. If you don't, you take a position on it, and of course they're entitled to take a different position, that's where litigation comes from.
So what I gathered from that is it's a gray area that we could decide.
Yeah, I hear we have the ability to grandfather
That's what I-
without degrading our own rules.
I just want to point out too, the way the change started was a request from the city to change from a family development or family development to a senior development. We would have never changed it for otherwise, and we wouldn't have had to change the plan in the first place. So that's kind of
Let me say this, what I'm talking about, the grandfather provision would be a pre-existing part of your statute that allows people to be, landowners to be grandfathered into the previous zoning ordinance. Now, I know you have that for subdivisions, and I've looked into that as well, but that's not what we're talking about here, not a subdivision. So I'd have to look at your whole zoning ordinance to see if you provided a grandfather provision. Then this is where your real question is getting in, and I want to talk with you about the specifics about whether a variance or something like that would be appropriate.
And see, that's what I thought about, you know, the variance, the board's opinion of a variance is it's a hardship.
Yeah.
Well, is it a hardship for him to flip the parking?
Could be a financial hardship. It could be
But you can't
investment.
do a financial hardship on a variance, correct?
I
You're
don't
not
think
supposed
so,
to.
Yeah, so let's.
You're not supposed to
so
take
let
that
me-
into
If
effect.
y'all will just continue this, let me get with you and we'll talk about the specifics of this issue.
Cause he's down to, he's
Yeah.
submitted everything, he's got it all in
He's
order,
basically
we're good,
blessed,
this is
yeah.
the only thing that's holding him up
Okay,
from
okay.
approval
Okay.
that he can start the project.
Well, if you'd let me look at the variance issue and then look and see if you have any other grandfather provision other than the subdivision one, which would not be applicable here. You don't think you do? Okay, yeah, okay. And then I'll give you an opinion, y'all can take it from there and you know, kind of take whatever action you think is appropriate, so.
Grace, on this case, he has began work back, obviously, under the previous zoning ordinance. And we
I mean,
changed,
Yeah,
you know, he's obviously on the property for a while and done some design work and the design has begun under previous ordinance.
so I think you
Well-
could take the position that the previous ordinance applies, if that's
I
what you
think,
want to do.
and I don't even know if you call that grandfathering.
It's not.
Yeah.
I don't think you do, but
It's, he has
we're
a,
calling
he
it
has a vested
grandfathering up here, I'm
right.
hearing it.
Yeah, so sometimes they overlap,
Yeah.
grandfather and vested
I
right.
understand.
But a vested right would not be something given by the council, it would be something that exists by virtue of his actions vis-a-vis the ordinance.
you know,
The previous ordinance.
construction or parts of thereof, construction has begun. In his mind, he's done drawings, he's
Yeah.
done site prep work and all this. Well, the big thing you need to know is that that concept has changed. It was multiple buildings on the site, and now it's one building on this site. So his
But
his
did
scope
you-
has
did-
changed a little bit.
Did you just say that was at the request of the city? Was that,
Yeah.
was at the
Well,
request?
the
of city?
request came early on.
Okay.
It was, they were told what we would be happy with.
Okay.
So
So that then he changed to comply with that request, and now,
During the process of the
fact that he went
change, we were working on the plans when the
Right.
ordinance got updated.
The
okay,
fact that he went from multiple buildings to one building, that's on him. That's something that he is, their company has designed this type of structure for senior living that works better for them,
Okay.
evidently.
okay,
Going
That
to
has
one
nothing,
building,
the
then-
senior living has nothing to do with the, in our mind, it has nothing to do with what the structure is. That's his business.
okay.
And that's what he thinks that will fit
So
better.
he thinks that,
So
that
he's
the
changed.
single will fit better for his business model, basically.
Well, but, you know, we see it in Columbia County. In your town, we see senior living on the side of the bypass Highway 25, you know, that's what
Yeah.
those are. Those are multiple units
Single level.
down there, one level, and we've seen that, and, you know, that's kind of what we thought this
Uh-huh.
town needs. So we conveyed that information to them, and here we are today. So multiple things have changed. I don't want you to think that, you know, he has stuck with his initial plan that he's started working on and submitted.
Okay.
From what we see today, it's different.
What had happened at the date of the by the date of the zoning change? Like
I've
what had
never
been
seen
done?
anything
What
of
had been
it
done?
to the current.
Not sure.
Okay, so, you know, with these situations being very fact specific, like we need to have answers to all that. Like, you know, when you were first approved, what work had been done, the timing of the zoning ordinance change, work after that change in terms of the ordinance. And then the issue of a variance is kind of a whole separate issue. So,
So he's had no civil approvals, no plat approvals, or anything like that?
Not until these plans, as far as I know.
That's what he's in right
Yeah,
now.
he's
It's
in-
submitted and he's in the process of the approval.
It's really this
Bills
one
approved.
hangup that's
Yeah.
stopping everything.
Everything else is good, it's just this one issue with the parking that's gonna stop, you know, halt the approval.
so what, but that had been after the zoning ordinance changed.
Yes.
Okay, what work was done prior to the zoning ordinance changing? Like what had been approved?
Nothing was approved.
what had been-
Nothing for us.
I
But
don't,
he has done
I don't
some
think,
civil work,
Chris.
is that right? Up there?
Yeah, we were working with Mr. Pappas at the time, working our way through the original design,
Uh-huh.
when the city asked us to change the type of, from a family to a senior. And that's what instigated you know, we had to completely change the site plan, you know, go back to the funding source, get everything approved, then, you
And
know.
so now you have submitted all that under the new ordinance. Is that right? Or not?
I guess, yeah.
Okay, and it's your position that you were asked by the city to do that. I'm hearing your position that you made the information available, that is, you thought the city would be better served.
We expressed what we wanted.
And then you made the change. All right, well, I mean, it really depends on kind of how much work is done, weighed against the city's interest in, you know, enforcing the new zoning ordinance and health, safety, welfare concerns, I think. And so I need to know specifically the timeline of all things.
And I don't think
Just
there was
thinking
any.
out loud, this is me thinking of all the other issues that we've been dealing with other developments, and I know this is not a residential development, but we have a lot of issues out there that we're already under scrutiny about with possible litigation that could be forthcoming. I think if we deviate from what is in the rules and what is set in stone, it's not even about us giving a variance of trying to do that. I think it has to do with it's black and white, or we're gonna end up getting ourselves into an issue with other situations that are out there, in my opinion.
That was my question.
Set the precedent.
Yeah, you're setting a negative precedent. So, that would be my only general statement is, I think that we, because of other items that are out there, we need to make sure that it is either a potential grandfather or it's not. It's not up to us to create a variance.
Yeah. Well, my question was, is if he has been in correspondence with Pappas and all that stuff in the past, on this project, does that scope change just because when the city asked for a change of occupancy?
Right.
I mean,
Well, I
because
heard some
he has
difference
been
about whether
working
the
with the
city
city
had
on that.
asked that or not, but I heard a difference of opinion about whether the city had.
And we haven't met yet, but,
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion Bill Justice would probably need to give us an opinion of what litigation could possibly come from it.
Well, she did.
No,
Okay,
yeah, she's
that's the
been-
reason I said that, I haven't
Yeah.
met you. That's
Sorry.
all.
Grace out of Bill.
Fair enough, fair
I work
enough.
with Bill.
I've missed a
Bill's
few,
retired.
Bill left us.
I missed a few meetings, so there you go.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
that's-
but the answers are going to be, they're not yes or no, black or white. That's what I want you to understand. I mean, you've got arguments to make, and it sounds like if the timeline is as I'm understanding, which is that the majority of the work, effort, and resources were spent pursuant to the new zoning ordinance, the current zoning ordinance, you have a better argument there, right? Because less of an argument that he has a vested right. So that's where you're gonna be. And then, but that doesn't mean, let me be clear, we say in the office, like, you can sue over a ham sandwich, anybody can sue you. And then you've got to incur the cost of defending, even if you're ultimately successful. These are the decisions that you all have agreed to take on in undertaking your obligation as a member of the planning commission.
I just like to win.
Well, me too.
No, let's say it says.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's, can you give me a timeline?
I can get with Chris and see, and then
Right.
I'll get with him and see if he can give me, I guess, when
Okay.
they
Yeah.
started, what process,
Yeah.
what the process.
I mean, unless y'all are prepared to make a decision right now, I can look further with the timeline and,
Let's go ahead and start the regular meeting at 6, we're supposed to start at 6:30.
Oh,
We should
sorry.
start that,
That's okay.
and then we make a decision on that for you.
It's not on the agenda, so it's not even.
No.
It's not, but, I mean, we can give her our opinion on what we need to do when we come back. I have a motion on the minutes from last week.
I moved.
Have a motion made, have a second.
A second.
Motion made and second to accept the minutes. Does anybody have any new business?
I abstain from
Huh?
the minutes, but.
Vote on that.
Oh, I guess we did, I thought we did. I'm ready to this too.
No, you're good.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
One abstention.
One abstention. All right. Now then, do we have any new business? I see no new business on the list. Do we have another motion? Or do we want to talk about this item here while we're here?
So with no actual business, we can open the floor to discussion
To
before we
discussion,
end
yeah.
a meeting.
So,
I make a motion to open the floor to discussion.
Have a motion made to open the floor for discussion. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
And second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
So now we can continue talking.
Now,
all right. So what do y'all want? Do y'all want me to get more information and, issue an opinion to you?
yes.
I think you need a really good timeline.
Yeah.
Good, timeline on what's going on, and I know from my understanding that he obviously knows that the ordinance has changed. And I'm hearing that and seeing that his initial scope has changed. Day one, when this came to the city, we expressed that at that time we didn't see a need for apartments. We would consider senior living, and that's where it's been from the get-go. So if his building structures and site has changed, I'm not privy to any information other than what he's put forth for us tonight. So I was always under the assumption that there's multiple facilities on this property. Small, something like Columbia Bank, I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
But now we're seeing a multi-story.
I think the key is the timeline.
One unit.
Yeah, I mean, the big case that's informing all this is the Alabaster case, where the city had to pay millions of dollars in damages to a property owner who'd been zoned for so many feet in a residential home. And the city decided, no, you gotta have more feet in each plot, basically. And they planned not to, with the development plans, planned to have a smaller lots per the zoning ordinance that was then in effect. And, you know, the city made those arguments and lost, and had to pay millions of dollars to take it. That's what's informing all this when you talk about whether opinions, you know, legal opinions are on the conservative side or more liberal side in terms of city actions. So we certainly wouldn't want the city to be on the hook for millions of dollars.
It's a great question. I'm assuming the zoning meets multifamily. That was all
It was
taken
already
care of.
Yeah, it's been zoned R4 for a while.
Long time, it was on prior to 2004, I think.
Yeah, it's been a long
Long
time.
time.
So if I could get a timeline, and then I'll look at it with you, and we'll just see where we are, look at some more cases. I spent a little bit of time today looking at cases, you know, about how vested rights are determined under Alabama law. It really is a balancing test. So when you get the balancing test, you get into, you got your set of facts, I got my set of facts, and a court has sort of blend all those together and say yes or no. And, you know, so it's not always black and white.
I guess in the meantime, this gentleman can conform to our new zoning ordinance.
Or at least look into it,
Yeah.
just in case it goes that direction.
Well, where are you in the process, or?
No, they submitted plans.
Yeah, they've submitted everything, and that's what, it was in the process of being, the approval process.
All right, well, let me talk with you tomorrow, and, we'll get a timeline, we'll get something in writing to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You mind coming back to us next month?
No, not at all.
We'll figure out something.
So I've got a question about just the process of communication then. Who's ultimately responsible for communicating the change? If a change happens, or is it just to be understood? I mean, are you, as a developer, builder, whoever, are you constantly checking to see?
What's his responsibility to due diligence and seeing the new rules?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People
I mean,
presume to.
Just in my opinion, I don't think we have to inform everybody that
Right.
changes are being made.
That's why they're public health meetings,
Okay.
and they're
And the fact
posted
that it was-
immediately. So.
Yeah.
We never went through an approval stage on any kind of plat map or anything like that, so
Right.
it would be up to them to do that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
People are presumed to know the law in general. You know, that ignorance is not an excuse, in general.
Kevin, what is the expected occupancy of that property, of that? How many people expected to be on that
Oh, it's 48 units,
property?
How many levels you done?
3.
3 levels?
Curiosity, just because thinking it through, is that because you'd have to do multiple elevators in 2 different buildings if you did that?
Yes, sir.
Cuts down half, 50% of the elevators needed for 1 building.
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
I think the product is what we need.
Yeah, I guess with that, we're just gonna get some more information and
Okay.
get back.
Yeah.
And get back to them.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn, do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?